Are you always coming up with ideas? Do you marvel at successful business owners? Do you hate being told what to do? Ever take things apart just to see how they work? Are you a dreamer? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this podcast is for you. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Pro Tapes and Specialties is the world leader in tape manufacturing and specialty conversion with over 40 years of experience. In addition to our pro brand of high-quality specialty adhesive tapes, we provide contract converting services that help improve your profitability, streamline your supply chain, and reduce inventory cost. We offer the most complete range of converting capabilities in the industry, such as cloth tape, double-coated tape, specialty tape, paper tape, masking tape, vinyl tape,
carton sealing tape, adhesive transfer tape, duct tape, foam tape, electrical tape, filament tape, foil tape, reflective tape.
And the tape just keeps on rolling. Visit us online today at www.protapes.com or call us at 800-345-0234. Pro Tapes, it's just how we roll.
Okay.
Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave, Life's Coming Attraction. I am your host, Kevin Wortham. Man, I am so excited. I've got this young lady. She's homegrown. She's from Trenton, went to Trenton High. Ayeshia Ellis, talk to me. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. So as we were prepping, you were sounding a little nervous. All softball questions, but I want to give you the platform for you, the entrepreneur, to talk about how you became the entrepreneur that you are. And we're going to talk about some of the trials and tribulations and the challenges that you had to overcome. All right. So where do we begin? You're in Trenton High. You graduate Trenton High. When does the entrepreneurial bug hit you?
So honestly, this didn't even come about as a for-profit business. Like, yes. I feel like this was more so like a vision, okay, or a call to purpose. Yes. Maybe 2006.
Okay.
And it was because I needed a different type of outlet to respond to what I felt like was like stereotypical treatment, yes, from, folks around me.
Yes.
And I had to learn to articulate my frustrations with the treatment in a way in which that was more educational and not combative.
Okay.
I think that.
Let me stop you for a second. What was some of the treatment that you were receiving?
Well, so I'm from Trenton, as you said, homegrown. Yes. I'm from Trenton. I attended school in the South.
Yes. And
I also ran track for the university I attended. And I guess the way in which I spoke, or my character, my teammates, or just two girls, they kind of was like mean girlish. They called me one time they called me ghetto girl.
Got you.
And I kind of like, just let it just kind of bounce off my shoulders. And then yes, I'm like, okay, no, I think they didn't mean that in like here's a cute nickname.
Yes.
They mean that in like a derogatory way.
Yes.
And then, it seems as if once I was called like ghetto girl, it was like I almost started to hear the word ghetto used like everywhere I went. It's kind of like when you purchase a car, you purchase something, and then you see that car, yes, everywhere you go now.
Absolutely.
So that's how it was for that word. And I'm like, I know that it isn't like, all of a sudden an increase in this word. Like, why now?
Yes.
So I would say that that's when kind of like the call to action came about.
Got you. Now, so while you're in college, what did you run?
Oh, so I ran 100,
okay,
ran 100-meter hurdles.
Yes.
I ran the 400,
yes,
200. So I was a sprinter. Everything from the 400 down I did.
And I would say, and hoping that you're going to tell me quite good at it, yes?
Yeah, I always say that I was very good. I wasn't the greatest, but I was very good. All American in high school. A few years ago, I was inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame at Trenton Central High School. So yeah, I was good.
Wait, hold up. We got to back up now. Listen, we got to go slow because we want to give you your kudos. Okay, so let's go back. So now, a few years back, you were inducted into the Trenton High School Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Congratulations. That's all
Thank
right.
you.
And you ran track at Trenton High too?
I sure did.
And you ran the same thing?
I did. So we pretty much, I did everything from, as I said, the 400 on down, various relays.
Yes.
But yeah, we did what we had to do to get those points.
Okay, now I'm gonna mess this conversation up a little bit, okay?
Okay.
You know Notre Dame High School?
I do.
Okay.
I had a teammate, Kanisha Odaker, that transferred from Notre Dame into Trenton High. It may have been my senior year.
Okay.
So Trenton Track Club introduced, we all were teammates on the Trenton Track Club in the summer.
Yeah.
And then I think her dad kind of wanted to keep that same rapport and energy as the summer club. So she left and John Jay, I think, went to another teammate for Trenton Track Club, went to Notre Dame. Yeah.
Okay. The only reason why I said it, because when I was in high school, I went to Notre Dame. And our girls' track was always so competitive against Trenton High. I guess the track teams brought out the best in each other. So I want to say thank you. But again, congratulations. That's all right.
Thank you.
I'm telling you, boy, track runners, holy crap, you guys put in some time. Because I ran track for Notre Dame, and I hated track. Listen, I did extremely well in track. But I hated it, and I did everything to try to get out of the training, right? But that was a wonderful experience, and I did that to kind of make myself better and to go higher, I guess, on the board as far as scholarship, because a lot of times, I got a scholarship to play football. But they really look at what do you do extra that could give and add value. So I ran track and did extremely well. And I only ran track 2 years, my junior and senior year, but I was just running off a God-given talent. You know what they say? If God gives you a talent, if you don't use it, you lose it. But I digress. We're all about you today, young lady. All right.
Okay.
So we're doing well at Trenton High. You get this huge award. And that's a big deal because Trenton High has been turning out some fantastic athletes. And some of those guys, I'm still good friends with them now. So thank you. So now you go to college. Now, where do you go to college?
I attended North Carolina Central University in Durham, North Carolina.
Yes. And then you ran track for them as well?
I did. So I ran track for Central for 2 years. And then that was the end of my career.
Okay. You didn't get hurt or anything?
Nope.
Okay. Just decided to hang up the cleats.
I did, and it's funny I say this because it was a lot of pressure.
Okay.
In high school for me to be successful.
Yes.
And I feel like the challenge and proving people wrong was my fuel. And
Gotcha.
when I got to school, that burden had been lifted, and
Okay.
I fell out of love with it.
Understood. Yep. Understood. Okay. So here we go again. You were trying to find a more appropriate way to respond to these folks that were causing or giving you some type of grief. And so how did you think that you should respond to them? How did you respond to them?
Oh, I was my language, very vulgar,
Okay.
very.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, so when I began my walk with Christ, in North Carolina. So
Yes.
I always say I was Brooklyn born, Trenton raised, and resurrected in North Carolina, in Durham.
All right.
And because my foundation began there in the South, I felt like I kind of created an avenue to hear God better.
Yes.
And in doing so, I matured not just in Christ, but also just in the way in which I interacted with people.
Yes.
And I think that just my growth there started to challenge the way I responded. And so that kind of just added on, and I'm like, okay. So I kind of sat with the idea of wanting to do more than just fuss with folks for, in my opinion, just speaking out of turn and, you know, just judging people prematurely.
Yes.
And then maybe like a few years after that, so maybe like 2020? So maybe like 2017.
Yes.
An acronym for the word ghetto came to mind. I can't even tell you where or how. And that's kind of what directly birthed the entrepreneurial side of me. So the acronym that came out of the word ghetto was Gifted, Heiresses, and Trusted to Take Over. And that there birthed my business.
Wow. Now, one more time, ghetto. One more time. Share that with us again.
Okay. So ghetto.
Yes.
The acronym is Gifted,
yes,
Heiresses,
yes,
and Trusted to Take Over.
I love it. I love it. All right. And so that was the birth, that was the beginning of this entrepreneurial ride that you're on now.
Yes, sir.
And then what do we do under this title, this word?
Okay. So we are, we're an empowerment brand.
Yes.
So right now we have a few pieces. We've had T-shirts, we have hats. So we pretty much brand the merchandise.
Yes.
So it's two parts of Gifted Heiresses. So we have I always like to say that this is kind of the sweet side is Gifted Heiresses.
Yes.
And then we have kind of the gut punch, Gifted and Ghetto.
Yes.
So I realized this in my conversations with people. You know, they express their appreciation for the brand and what it means to them, but they have a hard time saying the word ghetto. Like, you know, they'll speed through it quickly, and I'm like, no, like let's talk about it.
Yes.
So, you know, I kind of say folks are more not now, but in the beginning, folks were more attracted to my Gifted Heiresses merchandise that just said Gifted Heiresses, and then when I introduced the Gifted and Ghetto, it's kind of like So it's definitely a conversation piece. So yeah, just merchandise with empowering messages and brand logos on it.
Okay, now if you're not already doing it, I'm gonna add to it. I think that as to how you were setting up this story, I can see you going back into the various high schools and doing motivational speaking.
So I'm working on that.
Okay.
I like to say I rise to the occasion, but I'm may not be innately a people person in that I feel like, you know, I've kind of endured the throes of the world, so to speak, and coming from where I come from and growing up in the environment in which I have. As an adult, I've experienced different environments, so my thought and my ability to articulate myself is changing. But what I am doing in the community is proceeds from our sales. 4 times a year, we gift a young lady in the city of Trenton a monetary gift. And what we do is when we gift them with that, we let them know that there aren't any expectations of them. This is just us saying we're proud of you. We see you, we're rewriting the narrative. And then so that's kind of like my motivational speech when I'm gifting my heiresses. And we're also working on a nonprofit arm where we are going to mentor heiresses so that as they grow, so we're the network. So that's we're working on that piece. We're getting there.
Love it. And so in your entrepreneurial spirit now, in the ghetto brand, so to speak, are you hiring, or did you hire anyone, or is it just you?
No, we're not. No, so we're 2 years old. We turned 2 in March. And it's important for people to know, I mean, my immediate community knows, but it's important for people to know that I work 2 jobs. I'm in school, and, I'm juggling this business, and I'm more attracted to the community outreach and the gifting than I am the entrepreneurial side. And so I'm leaning on mentors to kind of instill in me a better work ethic and approach to the business, because oftentimes I don't market myself really well. I'm just pulling money from my pocket to gift my heiresses because I feel like I'm more attracted to the giving. And again, the merchandise came about as a resource for the gifting. So it's kind of like, Ayeshia, it defeats the purpose of having a business if you're not moving merchandise to fund your purpose. So I said all that to say that it's just a one-man show right now.
Okay.
I have great support when we do our annual, this year will be our second annual community cookout.
Yes.
Where we provide free hot meals to residents in the city. We do it out of Bubbles Park.
Yes.
Between Perry and Stockton and Academy Street.
Okay.
So whenever I need help and support, or I do pop-up shops, I always have a great outpour of support. I have volunteers willingly. When it's time for me to ship merchandise and fill orders, I have people help me in that way. But no, it's just me as the employee.
Okay. But now, have you ever considered doing collaborations with larger groups?
I have considered it. I have an entire binder of what my vision is, and it does include that.
Yes.
But I don't want to give undivided attention when I do engage, and because I have a year left in school.
Yes.
I'm kind of just focusing on, I don't want to involve folks and then they like, oh, I love it, we're ready to go. And then I'm like, I'm hesitant. So long story short, I don't have the time to engage in that way, but we'll get there.
Got you. Now, I've got to ask this all important question because this is the Entrepreneurial Enclave. Is all of this written down in a business plan type format or in the actual business plan?
So I do have a business plan.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I do have
I'm so proud of you already. Yes, I'm so.
I do. I have a business plan. And so a lot of it is started and it's recorded. I like to say in the annals of Gifted Heiresses history.
Yes.
But I've not been able to manifest those things yet because of what I have on my plate. So I'm almost there. I'm almost ready to give my baby my full attention.
Yes.
Yeah, but I do have a business plan.
Now my next question is, in spite of you wanting to mentor young folk, do you have any mentors that mentor you?
So I don't have, so when you say mentor, I think of, like, I used to have a big sister. I don't know if you remember the mentor program, Big Brother, Big Sister.
I do.
You remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so I had a big sister when I was in elementary school. So when I think of mentors, and even as I think of them as it applies to my business, I think of someone older, more mature, experience in the area in which, I plan to partake, in the areas in which I plan to partake. But I don't have that. But what I do have, I just have a great community. I have some friends that I've had since elementary school.
Yes.
They are phenomenal women. They are entrepreneurs. They are activists. They're community leaders. They're leaders in their field. And I actually just left an event, an inaugural gala in Atlanta, Georgia for one of my friends who has a nonprofit. And we've been friends for over 20 years.
Okay.
So whenever I'm discouraged, it always seems like God sends me where I need to be in the company of who I need to be in to reignite it.
Yes.
And being in the midst of all of beautiful Black Atlanta, that kind of stoked the fire, and for me to mingle and, network with folks in the nonprofit realm. So in that way, I'm mentor, but I do not have a mentor. Okay.
I would encourage you to seek a mentor out, because that certainly helps with the growth and the feedback for what you're looking to do. But what now? Let me just go back to I guess a more homegrown problem. What were and what do you see as some of the challenges that the young women face in Trenton? Young ladies.
I think that both the micro and the macro problem is that the culture isn't grounded anymore.
Yes.
I think that we are, and I say we because sometimes I get caught up in social media and I'm only supposed to be on there for 5 minutes and I look up it's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to include myself in it and say we, and I think that we are a culture of comparison.
Yes.
And not necessarily of authenticity anymore.
Yes.
And even when I moved back from the South back to Jersey, like 8 years ago, I got back in touch with my high school coaches just to kind of see if I can help out with the track team.
Yes.
And it was very disappointing just to see that hunger and that same competitive spirit, not that we lack the talent in the city,
yes,
but just that they're more focused on becoming influencers, like social media influencers. And they want to do anything other than, in my opinion, and I can't say work hard, because it's a work ethic, but it's not geared towards community outreach. And I think that that's what it is. It's more so for self and look at what I have instead of how can I help you.
Well,
so I think.
Well, I've got one better.
Okay.
I've got one better. Is they miss the grind portion. Nobody wants to grind, right? They just want to wake up one morning and ta-da, everything that they ever thought they wanted, it's there, right?
That's true.
And I was talking to a few of my friends, and we often have that conversation, that not just in urban areas like Trenton, but in any urban community, particularly where there's a high concentration of African Americans, we find that whole notion, that whole element of grinding doesn't exist anymore. Folks just want to snap a finger, turn around, and you are successful, not knowing what it took you to get there. So I go back to my original question. This is why we need you. And this is why, hopefully, by the end of this podcast, I'm going to convince you that at least once a month, I need to see you at somebody's summer camp, somebody's school, encouraging our young men and women to grind, to be about community, to give back, because they need to hear it from they need to hear it from a younger voice. And it sounds like you've got yourself together, and they certainly need to hear that, and they need to see how you move, right? So hopefully by the end of this this interview, you're going to say, Kevin, starting in July, I'm going to promise you I'm going to be at one school or one church or one community group once a month to share my story, just to encourage someone else. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
Challenge accepted.
All right.
I'm always up for the challenge. Okay.
Because listen, we need you. We need you. And one of the things I think that we don't do enough of in Trenton, and again, it could be Trenton, it could be Philadelphia, it could be Pittsburgh, it could be wherever. We don't encourage our young folks to pick up the mantle and to fill in the gaps as to where we might have missed some of the plugs, right?
Okay.
And our young folks need to see a continuous door approach as to one gets older, one turns the mantle over to someone else for them to do bigger, better, badder things than perhaps what I could have done.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
A big part of my journey is listening well. So I'm a good listener.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I agree.
You made the old man proud. So now when you're doing your community outreach, right? Folks are coming up to you, they're inspired by you, and how does that leave you when you walk away from that particular event?
Well, I'll tell you. So, and these are like two of my aha moment.
Yes.
So I was doing the pop-up, and we're just there, and the pop-up happened to coincide with our 1-year birthday, our 1-year anniversary. So we're there, we're giving out cupcakes, having a good time, selling merchandise, and I'm asked, where'd you get this idea, whatever, and I'm starting to explain, the reason behind the brand. And I happen to share that I was a teen mom.
Yes.
And, and they're like, oh. And so it's kind of like now they're free to express themselves. And then so she started to cry.
Yes.
And she cried. And I'm like, oh, my God, like, did I offend you? And she's just like, no, like, me too.
Oh,
she says, and I work very hard, just to give my children a better life.
Yes.
She says, but sometimes that's like the last piece that I want to share, kind of because I don't want to mess my success story up. Like, being a teen mom is so frowned upon, and you were a statistic and you weren't going to make it. And I'm like, but that's a part of our story.
Yes.
Like, we can't leave that out.
Yes.
And so that was the first moment. And I'm just like, wow, like, like I'm really doing this.
Yes.
And then the second We were the community cookout last year,
Yes.
and what we give during those cookouts, in addition to food, we give hygiene packages. So it's sanitary supplies for females and deodorant and toothpaste and hand wipe or wet wipes and masks and things like that. And so I had extra left over, and I'm like, I'm not going to make new bags. So I just happened to stuff all of the extra sanitary napkins in a bag. And as I did it, one of the participants were there. One of the community members were there, and she grabbed the bag and she grabbed my hand and she said, you don't know how difficult this is for me to, to get these things, because she was homeless.
Yes.
And she said, they provide a fraction of what we really need, but, it's never enough.
Yes.
She said, so just to get here and for you to be giving this out in addition to feeding us for the day, she was like, I just really, really want to thank you.
Yes.
And up until that point, I was the runner of the event. So we had like 5 different stations. So I've just been running around all day, not really in the full moment of what we were doing.
Yes.
And it wasn't until that direct contact, that, that communication with the person that I was doing it for,
yes,
that I realized really what we were doing for the community. So those 2 instances just kind of refuel me.
Okay.
It fills me just to kind of, keep me on track to realize it only takes one. And those individuals in those 2 separate occasions really just kept me going. So,
Now let us circle back with the aha moment. And you just mentioned that you were a teen mother, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was your motivation to continue to be successful when you became a teen mom?
I am a competitor.
Awesome.
I'm a competitor.
Okay.
And I am, I don't like to be the underdog.
Okay.
And I don't, I just think that that's it. And I also think that as I grew in Christ, as I said,
yes,
my purpose became clearer. And I don't think, and I realized that me standing still and not progressing,
yes,
me standing still wasn't going to get me closer to my purpose. But I think it's just that, I don't know if you watch sports, but oftentimes, like when someone is really aggressive and they're like really good on the field, they say they're a dog. Like I have a really doggish mentality when it comes to getting things done.
No, I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, I play sports, so I understand. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's me in life. I don't even remember the last time like I wasn't in school and working 2 jobs. Now, as I get older, I'm realizing that may be to my detriment. So I'm learning to, back away from some things. But yeah, I think it's the dog in me. I think it's the competitive nature. I think it's just me wanting more because I know I'm capable.
Got you.
Yeah.
And going back to the aha moment, the young lady started to cry because she realized that you guys had similar stories. Do you think that there's a lot of women in Trenton that have been teen moms that are afraid or embarrassed by that thought?
Oh yeah, I know it is. And I know that I know it is. And I know that the same way that when they are in different settings, maybe professional or things other than where they're from, a different socioeconomic environment, they don't want to say that they're from Trenton. And in the same way, when they're around folks who deem themselves as successful for whatever that means to people, they don't want to say that they were a teen mom. Like, who wants to say that?
Okay.
People don't want to say, that they were welfare recipients. I was that helped me for that season of my life. And I just think that people are so wrapped up in what other people think and that they've worked so hard for this newfound success and this new life. They don't want to tarnish that.
Yes.
But I think that that's all attached to it's trauma. And therapy has helped me with that. And my walk in Christ has helped me identify that that's trauma. That doesn't mean that I need to not share that. It means that I needed to change my perspective on what that trauma did to me. And now I accept it as a part of my story. And when I share it, there's always at least one that say, and all of the glitz and glam that all of these speakers came up and said that they had and what they accomplished, you came out and you said, well, this was me and I did this and I came from this and I did this. And that gave me the motivation or the confidence. And they may not share that in front of the same room, but they'll come up to me because they're not ready yet.
Yes.
But just in them saying it to one other person, that was a big accomplishment. So I know that there is, but they're so concerned with what people have to say and think, they keep that trauma bottled up. So yeah, I absolutely know that there are a lot of, not just in Trenton, but
just in
there
general.
are.
But I thank you. I thank you for coming on this large platform and sharing your story. I applaud you, and I thank you for demystifying the stigma that women have behind becoming, teen moms. So I want to. That's why we need to have you at the forefront, so you can continue to encourage young folks, particularly the women, but then also to the men now, because remember now, let's talk honestly and let's talk openly, right? You became a teen mom not by yourself, right?
That's true.
So we also need to talk to the teen men to say, listen, if you don't want your child or the young lady that you're involved in to have this test or this testimony, what do we need to do to encourage you to look at other avenues, right? And so I think that you could be the forefront for all of that. And this is what we need. We need young folks like you to see what you've gone through, not as a stigma, but as an opportunity to have a test to move beyond that, to encourage them just to be yourself. This is not final. This was not failure, but this is a chance for you to begin again, but this time more intelligently. So I thank you. I thank you. So I don't normally do this so soon, but I'm going to just give you this platform now to kind of share with me, if we were in a room of women and men, how would you open up your discussion with who you are? What would you say to them to get them to really believe and follow you? What would you say to them?
That's a good question. I think, I think transparency is important, but I also think that my transparency is an attempt to break down those stereotypes. So probably what I do when I am out and about, I like to dress up.
Yes.
I like to dress up. And because we are very visual people, I probably would lead just based on the woman standing before you, like what kind of assumptions would you make about me, where I am, my education? And I'm willing to bet that where I've come from and the things that I've endured and my trials and tribulations, kind of the saying, I don't look like what I've been through.
Yes.
They won't align with what people will say because, so I probably will lead with that and probably write something up on a whiteboard if I have access to it, or jot some things down, or have them, the audience, write some things down.
Yes.
And have anyone who's willing to share read those things off. I think that building credibility with your audience, just to kind of let them gauge the level of authenticity that's going to come from me, builds, because I'm still building my reputation as an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Not just that I have quality products, but that my purpose, my foundation is of quality, is of substance. So just allowing people to have an opportunity to speak on who they think I am, and then me formally introducing myself and what my brand and company is working to do to continue, as you said, to dismantle those stereotypes and those stigmas.
Yes. Now, I would love to see you team up with some of our community leaders, and some of their challenges that they've been tasked with is just going into the various communities and making sure that the city presents opportunities for them. And a lot of times our communities leaders, they're just so overwhelmed they can't do that. But just from talking to you, I can see where you can pick up that additional slack for them. Have you been in touch with some of our community leaders or some of our politicians, our council persons?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay. Well, hopefully, once this episode airs, I'm going to tag all of them in it. So they're going to know that we've got this young lady, we've got this jewel in our city. She is ready to work and roll up her sleeves. Okay, now let's talk about the T-shirts and your merchandise. Now, How do you come up with the various slogans that you use for your T-shirts and your product?
So right now we have the Gifted Heiresses, and that's basically just the brand,
Yes.
the logo, the brand logo.
Yes.
We have the Gifted and Ghetto, and we have the acronym, and it's a vertical print, and then it has Gifted vertically, and then it has the word spelled out, but you can see the acronym.
Yes.
So I try not to saturate. I just kind of want to keep it simple. So they're just basically the foundational kind of phrases are the backbone of the company. It's our brand. It's
Yes.
Ghetto. It's that, it's that. So that way, I don't get lost in it. And I feel like at one point God told me, well, I know that God told me, don't monetize your purpose. So it's not to do the wrong thing with what he purposed me to do. It's
Yes.
just to help fund the purpose.
Yes.
So we keep it, we just keep the slogan simple and as it pertains to the brand name. That's it.
Okay. I love it. Now, if someone is interested in finding out more about you or purchasing some of your products, how would they reach out to you? If you can leave your contact information now.
Sure. So I'll give you 3 contacts. So we have the email address.
Yes.
It's Gifted Heiress. So it's GIFTED Heiress, HEIRESS 2020 @gmail.com.
Yes.
And then we do have a business line, a phone line. It's 609-302-0617. And then we have the mailing address. It's a P.O. Box 222, Trenton, New Jersey, 08602. That's for contact. And then right now, as of the first of the month, I suspended the e-commerce site
Yes.
because we're changing some merchandise out and slimming some products down. But that Shopify site should be up shortly. So right now we suspended sales for merchandise.
Wonderful. Listen, I sense that you're going to be okay, and you're going to be better than okay, because I just feel and I hear the confidence, the enthusiasm, the wisdom in your voice. And who am I? I've never met you, but this is just the old man saying you're going to be all right, and you're going to be better than all right, because once you embrace completely who you are and your mission and your purpose, you're going to be doing wonderful things, not just in Trenton, but I can see all over the country, because there is a wonderful need. And again, you come across as being honest, sincere, transparent, and organic. And so much of that is missing on our young folks today. So I know that you can touch so many lives and have a changing effect on what they do. So I thank you again. So
I appreciate it.
My question continues to be,
Mm-hmm.
with all of my guests, 3 years from now, where are we? What does the conversation sound like if I were to come back 3 years from now and to talk to you? What does that conversation sound like now?
Oh, well, 3 years from now, but you know what? I'm actually expecting a divine acceleration with Gifted Heiresses.
Yes.
And I see a center for my girls.
Yes.
My mom just told me today that one of the parents of our heiresses was gifted. She just wanted to say thanks. Her daughter's doing well. She
Yes.
appreciated the recognition. So I want to create a safe space and a home for our girls. So I see us in a center, which is a resource center for our girls to come in and sort of like a pantry, and not necessarily with food, but just with things that young women may need that they may not have the resources for
Yes.
at the time. I see us. I'm believing, even what you said. I'm believing for mentors to come and to meet with our girls for larger speaking engagements. Like
Yes.
I'm going to claim it all. So.
Yes.
Time moves quickly, but I think that it's possible. So yeah, that's in 3 years. Yep. Come down and see us at the home of Gifted Heiresses somewhere in Trenton.
Absolutely. Now, one thing I can do immediately to help you, and I'm putting my church on blast, is we're downtown Trenton. The church is called Turning Point United Methodist Church, and we have a food pantry. We have a food pantry ministry. That we run I'm going to mess this up. So Angel, I hope you're not mad at me, but I think it's the the third and fourth Wednesday of the month. So we do a grocery bag ministry. Then we also have a pantry, a pamper ministry. So if there's young folks that are looking for Pampers, we have that as well.
Oh, wow.
And then every Wednesday we do a hot meal ministry.
Okay.
You know, so there you are. And so we would love to collaborate with you and to help you expand your reach, because you would be helping us expand our reach and our mission. So see, there might be your first collaboration. And my pastor, shout out to Pastor Rupert Hall, he's always talking about a church being relevant with a heart for the city. And I think that's where we are. And I know he would love to meet you and hear more about what you're doing, so that there could be collaborations, because I think through the collaborations you can grow exponentially. Now, I want to stop right there, and I want to go back to something you said originally. How important has your faith been for you in moving this idea forward?
Oh boy. It's been everything, and it's been everything because I think that so my spiritual gift is I'm a servant. Service. Yes. I'm a community health major with a minor in. I'm a public health major with a minor in community education.
Yes.
My primary love language is acts of service, and like I'm just a gifter, right?
Yes.
I'm a gifter. But I feel like the world has kind of mucked me up in my upbringing and just in my environment.
Okay.
But then my call to faith has kind of refined me and resurfaced me back to who God created me to be, which is a servant. And when I wasn't, you couldn't get a sentence out of me if I didn't know you. I was very guarded, very jaded, just angry, bad attitude. And it was a defense mechanism, again, from the trauma, from, being called ghetto and from being a teen mom and a statistic. So all of those things kind of made me jaded and guarded.
Yes.
But in my relationship with Christ, knowing that all things are made new, okay, I'm not who you say. And that's one of the foundational phrases of my company. We're not who you say we are. We're who we say we are. But ultimately, we're who he says we are. And so my faith has been everything in this, because God gave me the vision, and then he also put the battery in my back. And the one thing that I'm afraid of, which are people, if I'm being honest, and how they would trigger me, I'm positioned to service people. So I can't be a servicer of people if I don't like people. So my faith just kind of like factory reset me back to my original creation in Christ. That's what it's like.
I'm laughing because, sometimes I don't like people either.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I will give you the best time of your life, but you will never know how much that took for me to show up and do that, because people scare me. Yeah. They really do. Yeah. So,
I say to my buddy, I don't feel like peopling today, so I'm just going to hang out on the porch by myself.
That's right. That's right.
But that's where the maturity comes from, and it comes in, because sometimes, you know what? You just don't feel like peopling. So if I don't feel like peopling, it's best that we both stay safe. I'll just stay away from it for at least a few hours until I get myself together, that I really want to be approachable. Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. That's probably the greatest lesson you've learned thus far. Now, I've got to ask this question. Okay. Does the political world seem to be calling you? Politics?
My mom, I'm not going to say what position she says that she sees me in the future, but me personally now, heck no. But I have like, and my mom has said some things to me, and she said it with such confidence that I feel like it's a motherly thing that she knows this.
Yes.
But, short answer is no. I don't think so, because I think there are too many triggers in that world for me.
Yes. Because
I am I come from a line of folks that'll give the shirt off their back. Gotcha. But on the flip side of that, don't catch them on a bad day. So I don't know if I'm mature enough to handle all of the triggers from the scary part of politics and
Yes.
folks who are supposed to be cared for not.
Yes.
So right now in my life, I would say no. But
Understood. I mean,
I've heard otherwise.
You're still young, and you've got more time and opportunities to revisit that. So I'm going to 10 years from now, I'll be on the lookout to see what political office you are assuming. Listen. So first of all, I want to give a shout out. Let's give a shout out to Nina, because Nina Dawkins has been fantastic. She has really been supplying me with some wonderful entrepreneurs, not to mention herself and her daughter, and now you. This is just fantastic. So women, what's that song by Beyonce? Women who, what's that song?
Oh, Run the World?
Yeah,
Run the world, girl.
yeah. Obviously, I don't know Beyonce all that well, nor could I sing, but that thought came to my mind. But you guys are doing it. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, that's my auntie.
Yeah, so major shout outs to Nina, and we just want to say thank you again. So with the time that we have left on this platform, is there anything else, Ayeshia, you want us to know about you?
Not so much about me. I like to think, well, not so much about me, but we do have our second annual community cookout coming up. We have 2 dates this year.
Yes.
The first date is Saturday, July 16th.
Yes.
And on both dates, the time is from 1 p.m. to 4. Those are the time. That's the time that we're actually serving, but prep time will be about 30 to 45 minutes before.
Yes.
And then the second date is Saturday, August 27th. So,
and the location
with the contact, and the location is at Roberto Clemente Park, otherwise known as, or also known as Bubbles.
Yes. It's
downtown, a block over from Carroll Street, where the rescue mission is.
Yes.
It sits in between Perry Street and Academy Street.
Can't we say that's across the street from the firehouse, the headquarters?
Yeah, it sure is, because I always come the back way.
Oh, okay,
yep, I always come the back way with the pool, but it sure is. It sure is.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow, it sure is.
Give us the dates of those 2 events and your contact information again.
Okay. The first date is Saturday, July 16th.
Yes.
And the second date is Saturday, August 27th.
Yes.
And then my contact, the best way to contact me, because we do need about 5 volunteers for each of those dates.
Yes.
And the best way to contact me for that is calling the business line.
Yes.
And again, that phone number is 609-302-0617. Or you can email me, and that's giftedheiress2020@gmail.com.
You failed to mention your third event. In September, you're going to be at somebody's high school doing a motivational speech. Huh? Come on now. We're just going to say September, blah, 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 blah. You're going to be at somebody's high school or somebody's elementary school or somebody's junior high. You're going to be encouraging young women to be more than what they think they see in themselves, right?
And you had me looking back at my notes on my phone like, is there a third event? Okay. I'm like, I thought I was prepared. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to speak all of this into existence, and I'm going to wish you nothing but success with all your events. I'm loving this conversation, and we need to have more conversations like this. We need more people like you at the forefront. So nothing but success with your entrepreneurial venture. And listen, if you need some help with the business plan, you let me know, because that's my forte. That's what I do. I sleep and eat the business plan.
I sure will. I'll hold you to it.
Absolutely. Ayeshia, you have been fantastic. Let's talk and text at your earliest.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll talk to you then. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That concludes another episode of the Entrepreneurial Enclave with Kevin Wortham, the podcast that focuses on building, maintaining, pivoting, planning, and investing in you, the entrepreneur. We hope you found this episode informative and enlightening. If you have any questions or comments about any of our episodes, please call 609-731-9311 or email kevin@minding-our-business.com. We look forward to joining us for our next one. Until next time.